Hello everyone, I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and money color commentator. On today's show, maximizing your Social Security, part 4 in our series on retiring in the near future. Well, welcome to the fourth segment. We're talking about Social Security, the #1 retirement plan for most Americans. I know this sounds a little strange to say this, but very big, vast part of the population, Social Security is it. So knowing how to use Social Security to your benefit is a big deal. And to me, how can you actually maximize the benefits that you've paid into? Remember, you paid for this. This isn't some welfare program. You actually made contributions. And those contributions now are going to accumulate into a lifetime guaranteed income scenario. Even if you live to be Jean Clement, the Guinness Book of World Records, 122 years, 164 days. Hey, think about this. Heads up, Ida Mae Fuller was the first recipient that received Social Security benefits. She actually put in under 25 bucks. I think it was like $24 and change. But she lived, instead of dying like they were supposed to back in the day under the 1941 Commissioner Standard Operational Tables, she died at age 100. So she completely destroyed the table, and she received over $22,000. Think about it. She put in $24 total and change. She received over $22,800 in her total life. Great deal for Ida. Now, keep in mind, Social Security, there are 3 or 4 dates that you need to look at to really think this through. One is 62, one is 66, and one is age 70. All these matter, and it may matter to you. That's why it's important. By the way, if you look at the change in Social Security and retirement age provisions, this is the main block of retirees right now, the baby boomers. Over 10,000 every day are turning age 65. You are never going to see this group here has got the best total rate of return and benefits right now that any other group, baby boomer group. When you look at it, if you hold all the way out to age 70 in these plans, you actually made 132% of your full retirement age. So it's huge. If you can wait, you should wait. And why should you wait? Because you may live a lot longer than you thought. Remember, the Wall Street Journal had an article. The average male, 86.6 years. The average female, 88.8 years. The survivor of a marriage, generally the female, 87% of the time, lives to 93. And that's the average. That means that half of Americans are actually living longer than that. So I may want to think about this, because once you take constructive receipt back at age 62, once you're there at age 62, that's your number for life. So they may have some inflation there throughout the years. They may get a little bump for cost of living, but that number is your number. And by the way, your spouse, you're also tying the surviving spouse to that number. So people say to me, Steve, the reason I'm taking it now is because I don't think Social Security is going to be around. I think that's a myth that's out there. I know that in 2034, we may have to make some adjustments. Hopefully you'll make them before then. We'll have to make some adjustments. You may not get the full benefit of Social Security, but there'll still be benefits. To what degree, we don't know. They're looking at ways to fix this. They think they should elevate the actual day of constructive receipt. Instead of 62, maybe it should be 65. Instead of 70 as your maximum date, maybe it's 73 or 75. Whatever they're going to do, they need to push the timeline forward, because we're just living that much longer. The second thing about Social Security is if we go ahead and raise the taxes, we can fix some things, but you're just raising taxes. My idea always is, let's try to raise the ages first and see the calculation. Does it go from 2034 to 2060? I want to know what that number is without charging taxes. I want to see what that is first, standalone. If we need to make a modification in the FICA deduction, or the FICA deduction from your payroll, and push that to Social Security, we may have to raise it. But I want to see that first, and I want to see the ramifications of delaying. So when you're in this group and you're thinking, wow, Steve, the baby boomers have it pretty good. Well, when you're sitting there 1960 and plus, you're going to start looking at these ages, and you're going to have to start asking yourself, hey, what's my benefit going to be? You'll get something. I just don't know if it's ever going to return to the numbers that we're getting right now. So keep in mind, this is a generational issue. Some people are very unhappy about this because they say, I'm pouring money in and I'm not getting anywhere near the return. That brings me to one of my things that I want to talk about today. We lost file and suspend 3 years ago. In the middle of the night, the Congress, our good people, decided to get rid of, file, and suspend. They said that the affluent were milking the system and that lower income people didn't take advantage. The only reason they didn't take advantage is because the Social Security Department didn't tell them about it. And if they had advisors and the advisor would have told them about this, they would have been able to do the same. Okay, that's water under the bridge. We don't have file and suspend anymore. But for people in a certain sector not to exceed being born January 1st, 1954, there's about 3 years now of people between 50 and 53 that may be eligible, and it may be worth your while to file a restrictive application. I just met with a couple where the female of the couple, she actually didn't work her entire year. She was just a little substitute teaching here and there, but she's a stay-at-home mom. And so she didn't have employment. I shouldn't say she didn't work. She certainly worked, but she didn't have employment. So they looked at her number, and it was really not that great. Her constructive receipt was about $605. They looked at that number it was 441, and her husband then restricted his claim, and they were able to get $605 between the time that she turned 66 and the time she turns age 70. I want you to think about that. You're talking about $24,000, $25,000 between age 66 and age 70. Is that worth it to you to hold on to that and take benefits? So if you're in that small demographic, you need to look at that. That could be a play for you. Keep in mind, as I said previously, Social Security, if I'm going to take full retirement at Social Security, I don't want you to be sitting at 62 saying, I'm taking it now because it's take it and run. But I'm going to say you're going to be living a lot longer. And because of that, you're really tying your money down at 62. Think about it. If I wait till age 70, I'm getting 8% simple compounded. I can't put anything in the market that's going to do that guaranteed. So I'm personally waiting till age 70 for my Social Security. I think I'm going to have some longevity, the good Lord willing. And I'm also thinking my wife is going to have serious longevity. So I want her to have the bigger benefit because she's going to need that benefit. So I might be able to, since I'm one of the few guys that can qualify for the restrictive application. We're doing that here in a couple months. I'll tell you more about that when I go through it. We're going to be taking that. That's going to be some extra money that we never even thought we had. We thought file and suspend killed all that, but restrictive application still allows it. So we're going to do that, and then at age 70, we're going to take constructive receipt of our Social Security. Now remember, Social Security, depending upon how much you make, may be taxed. I know we weren't supposed to do that, but legislation changed in the 80s under Reagan, and now we're starting to tax Social Security. So the income, and remember, there are all forms of income with the exception of HSA accounts, reverse mortgage income, Roth IRA income, and loans from cash value life insurance that are TAMRA compliant. Sorry for all the disclosure there. Those do not roll over to the provisional income test for Social Security. So those four could be a play when you're talking about paying medical bills with your HSA, taking a Roth income strategically when you want to so that you really milk the system on a tax basis. Your reverse mortgage income, if you do that, that's tax-free. Taking money out of your cash value life insurance, if it's a TAMRA compliant contract, that can be tax-free as long as the contract's kept in force for the life of the insured. There's a lot of games to be played here. But every other form of income, no matter when you take it, it could tax your Social Security. So before you start taking income, go and talk to your CPA, your accountant, your enrolled agent of the IRS, and ask them, hey, what are the tax ramifications of me taking income, especially as it relates back to my Social Security? As I said in the last segment, people are completely miffed that they're in municipal bonds, most of which could be federal or state free or municipality free from taxes, only to find out that all your municipal bond income flows over to your provisional income test in Social Security and is included to see if your Social Security is going to be taxed or not. It's really great. Some people are on what I call the bubble in Social Security. You might be at no tax, but taking constructive receipt of certain qualified plans could bump you into Tier 1 taxation. Taking even more could bump you into Tier 2. To manage the issue of your taxation on your Social Security and your qualified monies, you need to start looking at this as the actual net spendable strategy. What's my net spendable strategy? What can I do to keep more money in my pocket and keep the erosion of my income going to the government? Remember, as I've said before many times, long-term care is a big expense in retirement, no doubt about it. But number one is taxes. Federal and state, writing tickets for property taxes, all that is much more cumulative over your life, of your retirement life. So keep in mind, I want to look at it. Patience has its rewards. It might be good for you to wait. So when I'm looking at Social Security, I want to look at what I'm going to do, when I'm going to take constructive receipt, and most importantly, I'm going to look at what I take out of my other plans, whether my qualified plan or non-qualified plan, to see how it's going to dicker with my Social Security as far as taxation. My goal is to take the most I can and pocket it legally under the code. That's how we're preparing to maximize our Social Security. Don't forget to watch our next segment on lifetime retirement income, part 5 in our series on retiring in the near future. And keep in mind, before moving forward with any of the ideas on our show, always check with your tax consultant, legal counsel, or financial advisor. You've been watching Steve Savant's Money, the name of the game.